Good morning, intuitives. Another, pre-work video that I want to get out. This one's going to be more personal examples. It's something that's hitting me at the moment. So, for those of you that asked me to tell more personal stories or about what's going on in this labyrinth, this is going to be one of them. And it's an INFJ dealing with hopelessness and how that affects us. Now, like I said, this one's going to be more personal than empirical, and since it's going to be about me, it's not just going to be about dealing with this as an INFJ. I have the added benefit of PTSD too. So, hopelessness, that feeling where no matter what you do, no matter how hard you fight, nothing goes your way. That feeling of being trapped, that feeling of no matter how much you try to exert your free will, it seems that the machinations of fate are binding you perhaps to a fate worse than death. So, got some news on my case. Case is solid, but given statutes and stuff, it's not gonna be anywhere near as much of a settlement as I anticipated based on what, people have said to me, both those in and not in the legal profession. But, not really up on Virginia law, so there's that. So it's going to be difficult for me to, move where I want to move. So, pretty much the thing going in my head is with roughly, $40,000-$50,000 after all my fees and taxes and lawyer stuff, hypothetically, how the fuck am I going to get out of here? I have to find gainful employment. And, you know, that's easier said than done when you're not in the club. And in fact, if you are someone who has been calling out the old boys, the good old boys club since your teens, and now there's, news articles about it that you called them out in the one profession you actually gave a damn about, so that makes that more difficult. There's this constant feeling for me like there is no tomorrow, but there's still hope for the future. I have this resolve somehow. I guess this is what's getting me up in the morning. I'm not sure. I try not to think about it, because if I think about it too much, then I'll probably be like, well, fuck it, why even get up? That somehow, some way, I have to, get a nonprofit up and running that exists to help victims of bullying, hazing, retaliation, exploitation, sexual assault, that whole gambit, people who are abused in those, including but not limited to those ways in the workforce, and how those actions are often swept under the rug and or minimized by the place of employment in order to protect the place of employment's precious, almighty, shiny PR image, and potentially in some cases the lie that they're this inclusive, progressive organization, and really they're just, same old good old boys. I'm gonna hire Goober. Goober was my hunting buddy. Goober's not qualified. Goober my hunting buddy. That good enough for me. Yeah, that kind of shit. Things, such actions where an individual's actions or abuse against somebody isn't the main thing they consider when forming a punishment. It's not like, okay, well, you actually did this, we will punish you accordingly. It's like, whoa, 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 he's worked here for, for example, 15 years, and perhaps, for example, it's like, and he's got two uncles and a granddaddy that worked here, like, he gets special treatment. And, perhaps, hypothetically speaking, access to documents that he shouldn't have that violate a confidentiality agreement. These are just hypothetical examples. But, just to illustrate my point, those kind of things. And in situations like this, where something like my situation, for example, the Arlington County Fire Department investigated itself. So those investigating what happened to me and the retaliation others faced had a vested interest in protecting the image of the Arlington County government, and also had the incentive of not to be too harsh on the county, because they're at the same time trying to advance their own careers, those that are investigating. I mean, it's just, you can argue, well, so and so has integrity and all that, but just the appearance on the surface level, any wrongdoing in a manner like that should not be investigated internally. There should be an impartial third party organization that's not tied in any way, through employment or independent contracting, anything, not tied to the entity that's actions are being investigated. And, in a few places that exists, but broad scale, specifically in the fire service, it does not. Similar problems exist in a lot of the police force as well, for a lot of the same reasons. So the idea to get something like that up and running, and for me to be, one of the key figures in it, because such an organization would need to consist of people who, sadly enough, have been in those situations, who know how to empathize and relate to people that would potentially be coming forward to speak to us for aid, or, for advice on seeking a legal matter, advice on seeking therapy, advice on how to get through the day, and let them know they're not alone. In addition to, resources to get their story known publicly, because let's be honest, in, a lot of professional organizations, the fact that somebody was abused isn't why things change. Things change when people go public. Look at Hollywood, for example. That's an example everybody knows. Everything that happened to those female actors over the years, do you think anything changed because that happened to them? No, it happened because, they had bigger balls than most men and decided to tell their stories on the media, and it all got out, and it couldn't be swept under the rug anymore. The changes that are being made in the Arlington County Fire Department aren't because what I went through. It's because I went to the press. It's because they can't hide it anymore. And that's sadly how these situations have to be dealt with. I do not believe that any organization can truly fix such problems internally without external pressure to do so, or some entity in some form holding them accountable beyond write a check. And trust me, even if you pursue a legal suit, what you get doesn't near make up for what you lost, especially if it was your dream job. So I have that sense of hopelessness of, my life's always going to be crap. I mean, I don't like to be down much, but consider my circumstances at the moment. Working a crappy job, not making good money, living in an area I despise, lost my dream job, spoke out, did the right thing to try to change it for the better and to protect others from retaliation, vilified for that within the industry, and quite possibly, blackballed from ever getting hired in that job again. So no sense of purpose with helping people. The thing I wanted since I was 18 years old, I am now locked out from. And that's a hard thing to get over with. I mean, I've been dealing with that for just 2 days now. I'm still getting up, going to work. I'm on here making a video, but it's those gut punches that really tend to keep us as INFJs down. I'm not in an NITI loop. I don't know how. The answers don't think about it. That's all I got on that. But we have to realize, as INFJs, if for those of you that could be in a similar situation to me, the long game is what you have to focus on. You always have to have a contingency plan. You always have to have something working that can get you to that end game you so desire, because that's what we're so focused on. We're not living the moment kind of people. So that's what I'm, starting to do, trying to find a way to possibly get such a nonprofit up and running. Hope, in a city where I'd actually like to live, and hopefully my contribution to the fire service will be changing it for the better. It's ironic enough, that's what I've always wanted. since I was 18 years old was, I wanted to become a professional firefighter at 18 and, have progressive change happen to the fire service. Sometimes you get what you wish for, though this is not what I envisioned. You know, that's the hard thing. I mean, when I heard this news of everything being in ruins and me potentially remaining trapped in Chester County, I was looking over my shoulder constantly. It's like, okay, where's my Mephistopheles? Because if ever there was a time for me to make a Faustian bargain, now is it. I've passed one or two up in my younger days, but those moments of desperation and hopelessness when you feel all is lost, that you look for some mysterious dark figure, to make you that Faustian bargain that presumably will get you everything you want. But at what cost? You have to be cautious of that too. That's something I've learned over the years. When your life is crap, and someone makes you an offer that seems, like it's going to fix things, read the fine print. Don't just jump at the offer without considering the cost, because there's always a cost. Nothing is free, not even revenge, or integrity, or justice, or love, or anything. Everything has its cost, some more than others. There are times where the cost doesn't seem like that much to you, and by all means go for it, but you have to always anticipate what the cost is. So, sadly, for the moment, I am still trapped in Chester County, and to give an example of what living in Chester County is like to me, go read the tavern scene from Faust, since I just mentioned Faust. It's like the tavern scene in Faust. Yeah, and, yeah, uber conservative and cliquish and filled mostly with boomers who still think it's the 80s, it's the Rust Belt, so there really aren't any good jobs. It's full of nepotism and cronyism, and yeah, there's that. Still climbing that fence, like in my nightmares. Climbing that fence. And of course, a sense of hopelessness, if you're like me dealing with PTSD, that's going to cause more anxiety attacks. It's probably going to increase the frequency of your nightmares, because if you can see light at the end of the tunnel, for what happened to you, seeing like a quote unquote happy ending, for lack of a better term, that usually eases some of your PTSD symptoms, at least from what I've read, because you're able to move forward. If because of the abuse that caused your PTSD and your life is crap, if you're still stuck where you don't want to be, in the place that basically your abuse put you, it's tough to look for a light. It's like, I don't see a light. All I see is, darkness. It's like I fell through the floor on the 10th story, hit the ground floor, and now the ground floor just caved out of me. It's like, why am I in this catacomb now? I didn't even know this catacomb existed. But I'm in the catacombs without a light, and, trying to use my firefighter skills to find my way through the dark. We'll see what happens. I'm going to keep doing videos. Hopefully these help people. I like helping people. It's kind of what motivates me. By kinda, I mean it is. But, you truly have my empathy for any of you who are in similar situations to mine. I promised in the past that I would force myself on camera when I was, feeling down and not really able to inject any really humor into my videos, for you to see what a beat down INFJ looks like right here. Just remember, no matter what your situation is, in order to get out of it, never sell out your integrity for a Faustian bargain. Trust your intuition when you read said bargain.